Hey everyone, I'm Nick Hames here with my friends from Guitar Center today, and we are checking out the Epiphone Les Paul Custom Widow. I am a singer-songwriter, producer, multi-instrumentalist, and guitar player. I grew up playing music since I was 6 years old. I have a solo project called Hames, my last name, and a blues band with a couple friends of mine called the Nick Hames Trio, where we play blues music and covers and just have a good time. Anything involving music is always a joy to me. Playing guitar is just my whole life. I grew up listening to Peter Frampton, and Peter Frampton played a Les Paul that was black with 3 pickups. And I grew up listening to Jimmy Page, and he played a Gibson Les Paul as well. When I was 6 years old, I wanted a Les Paul for Christmas, and my parents got me a black Epiphone Les Paul Jr. with 1 pickup with a cream pickup ring, and that guitar was everything to me. That was, I was suddenly grown up with a big boy guitar, and that was just, the first time I ever heard of Epiphone. And then after that, I got more Les Pauls, and I continued to play them for years and years and years. What I love about this Les Paul in particular is, to be honest, I feel like I'm playing a high-end Gibson guitar that's cost way more than this. This is as comfortable as any Les Paul I've ever played, Gibson Epiphone, and it's just so smooth, easy to play, and the tone it's got that big, fat, punchy Les Paul tone that we all know and love through any amp, really. It's just really gives everything you need with a Les Paul. Obviously, the looks really grab you. The flame maple top is stunning, especially in this purple finish. The fact that the binding is also purple, giving it that same vibe, and the inlays on the headstock are purple. I've never seen something like this, and the way the wood looks, and it's just, purple's one of my favorite colors, and this particular finish blew me away when I opened up the case. So before we get into the tones of this guitar, I'm going to go through my signal chain really quick. I have a fuzz pedal by Zvex Effects called the Mastertron, going into 2 brown amplification overdrive pedals, the Carbon X and the Protein, and then going into a Dunlop Echoplex delay, and that's all going through this Gibson Dual Falcon 20 2x10 combo amplifier. So we'll start with the bridge pickup. This is a Probucker pickup. This pickup is very punchy and it has a very woody tone. You can hear it sort of resonate through the whole guitar, and especially when you're playing it, you can feel it too on the neck. If I'm playing like classic rock style or, blues rhythm stuff, just having a little bit of crunch, enough, to get some little bit of overdrive, nothing too crazy. That's where I feel like this guitar will shine. You can hear every note and every chord, which is what you look for, what you expect in a great Les Paul. And this covers all that ground, really. The traditional Les Paul sound is always, huge. Like, you can really tell the difference between like a hollow body and a Les Paul just because of, the mahogany body is such a tough wood that it just travels right through it and just really spanks when you play it, like we just did with a little bit of dirt. That's, I think, when it shines the best. It just sounds amazing. And, you can hear everything. You can still hear the clarity of the clean tone, but you're also getting that dirt from it pushing through because they're humbuckers. And yeah, it's just, the wood is just a big deal with these guitars, and the fact that you can get a mahogany body with this is great. Now I'll take the volume down on the guitar just a little bit because we have the amp just where it's breaking up. So let's clean it up a little bit and we'll do more articulate stuff. And you can really hear how spanky this guitar is and how it just bounces right off when you play it. So this neck is very easy to play. It's sort of in the middle between a large neck and a small neck. It's definitely not baseball bat, but it's also definitely not super slim. I have medium-sized hands and I'm super comfortable to play on this. And when I was going up here and then I slid down, it's like butter. It's super easy to transition from different fingerings on the neck. Especially bending the strings is very easy on this guitar. That's very important because I do a lot of blues and a lot of articulate bends and, microtones. And this is extremely, extremely easy to bend the strings on these frets and on this neck. So now we're gonna move to the neck pickup. This is also a Probucker. For this one, I like to use bending and playing chords and get that sort of bluesy tone. It can be, very, very clear and clean and just milky when you play on a clean tone. And then when you turn up the overdrive or the gain, you can get lead tone that will really melt your face off. So as you can tell, that was a very punchy, full-sounding neck pickup. That's everything you need in a Les Paul and everything that a Les Paul will deliver to you. The snappy and punchiness that you can feel it when you're playing it. Looks do matter to me. Obviously, playability and feel matter, but when I get a guitar that looks like this is reminding me of playing late night, lights down low, blues music that's very soulful and every note matters. It's not necessarily about playing fast. Now I'm going to kick up the gain a little bit using the Brown Amplification Carbon X pedal. I'm going to show you how much sustain you can get out of this neck pickup. So as you can see, the sustain is a big part of what this guitar has to offer. With the Probucker pickups and the mahogany body, you can really sustain a note as long as you hold it and, put a little vibrato. It really will hold true to its sound. That's important for me with playing with a trio, especially playing blues like you just heard. Using a solid body guitar like a Les Paul, you get to cover a lot more sonic ground. You push a little more air. You have just a fatter, deeper sound with the top end that you can get as well. But just having a solid body guitar just gives you more push, in my opinion. Using that in a trio setting is very important for me because I have to cover all of the guitar sonic space with, one guitar while singing. The Les Paul is the perfect companion for that. So now we're going to check out both Probucker pickups together. This is my favorite sound because this is what Jimmy Page used a lot. Growing up, I never knew what that tone was. I call it the squawk sound. It's the middle position of a Les Paul, and it gives you just that awesome tone that you can hear on a lot of Led Zeppelin records in his live playing. And once I found out that middle position was the solution to that sound, it just opened up so many doors for me. That was the sound for me. So I'm going to demonstrate putting the tone knobs all the way up, volume knobs all the way up, and really just digging in so you can get the squawk sound. The middle position is the best. I think that's what makes a Les Paul a Les Paul. I love all three selections, but people favor the neck and the bridge. I strive to make the middle position like the sound. There's endless possibilities, but cranking everything to 10 and putting in the middle and really digging in, best tone in my opinion. I mean that. It's so sick. So again, the middle position is stunning in my opinion. It just gives you a little bit of bark and a little bit of bite. It just gives you that perfect mid-range, awesome sound that, will cut through any mix, which is, a good reason why Jimmy Page used it a lot. It would cover a lot of sonic ground, especially with a slapback delay like that. You can get any rockabilly, blues, rock, classic rock, heavy rock tone. These pickups, Probuckers, are amazing. I love this guitar, and I think most people who play this guitar will love this guitar. This thing's built like a tank, as all Les Pauls are, and something that will really deliver every night on stage and also turn every head in the room. It's very reliable. It feels like a very high-end guitar. It's as good as any pro guitarist needs. So luckily, I got to play my favorite color, which is this purple color. It reminds me a lot of Prince, my favorite musician of all time. But it also gives that late night vibe, just a very pretty and elegant guitar, as well as all the other colors that it comes in. To me, the purple is stunning, but they all have their own personality, and I could see myself playing any of those colors and, just really bringing out a different side of me, depending on which color I have. If you want to learn more about the Epiphone Les Paul Custom Widow, visit guitarcenter.com, contact one of their expert gear advisors, or visit your local GC and check one out for yourself.